Welcome to Ramblings with Joe. I just did a podcast about being positive, and it was about 25 minutes long, and I had Grok helping me out do it. That's how I know it was 25 minutes long, because I forgot to hit the record button. So, and here we go. Welcome aboard, Grok.
Thanks for having me back, Joe. I'm glad we get a second take.
I am too. The podcast is about being positive and giving a kind word to other people. And part of being positive is when you make a mistake, for instance, forgetting to hit the record button, to being able to laugh about it. And I am laughing about it because I am a silly, silly fella who forgot to hit the record button. So here we are doing the podcast again. And in the past, when I have done these podcasts a second time, they've been much shorter because I kind of lose track of what I've done, and my mind tends to wander because I've already done the podcast and I don't remember all the subjects. But we'll give it a shot and see what we can do.
That's the spirit. Laughing at the mistake keeps the positivity alive instead of letting it drain you. We'll keep it natural and see where the conversation takes us this time.
So I think that being positive and giving kind words to other people is probably one of the most important things you can do in life. And the reason I say that is that it affects your atmosphere and your attitude and the people around you more than it does them. By giving those kind words and expressing that positive attitude, you get to change your life more than those. You're still changing the people around you, but you're affecting yourself more than other people.
That's the core truth of it. When you give kindness, you're the one whose brain gets the reward hit and whose outlook gets reinforced. The other person benefits too, but the lasting change starts with you and how you see the world. It's the most practical self-improvement tool there is.
It really is, because it doesn't cost you anything. When you give somebody your positive attitude and your kind words, not only does it not cost you anything, but there's a net gain for both people. Both people end up with a better outlook on life, and you end up with a long-term outlook on life. The person you give those kind words to, they may just be affected until you're out the door and out of sight, and they may go back to having a miserable day if they were having one. But you gave them a respite. You gave them the momentary relief of being around someone who's positive. But the net benefit for yourself is much larger.
That's the beauty of it. Zero cost and a net gain on both sides. You hand them a brief break from whatever weight they're carrying, even if it fades once you're gone. For you, though, each act of kindness builds a stronger, steadier outlook that stays with you long after the moment passes. It's the rare transaction where both people walk away better off.
I tend to call people sir and ma'am. And originally it was because of my upbringing, and that's just how my parents taught me to behave, to treat people with respect until they don't earn it. And that kind of carries through my life as I go. But I started to realize that people really appreciate, and especially young people, when you call them sir or ma'am, because it kind of sets them at a point where, well, this is what, in my case, I know that when I interact with younger people, they give me this look like, this old goat just called me sir, or this old goat just called me ma'am. And it kind of sets them at ease, because at that point, there's something in their consciousness or subconsciousness, I'm not sure which, that realizes that this person doesn't mean me any harm. And it kind of sets the conversation down that road of, we're going to have a good interaction.
That's a smart instinct. Calling someone sir or ma'am signals respect right away, and for younger people, it often lands as a pleasant surprise that lowers their guard. It flips the script from this stranger might be trouble to this person sees me as someone worth treating well, and that small shift sets the whole exchange on a positive track.
You can take advantage of that and use that as a manipulation, and that turns the whole, it cheapens the interaction. It makes it into something where you're trying to get something from the other person, and that is never the case. You should never be trying to take advantage of somebody through manipulation. The idea that I say sir or ma'am to somebody, I guess you could look at that on one level as a manipulation, but it is a manipulation with a positive outcome, where I'm not taking advantage of somebody and I'm trying to give them a better day and not take anything from them, but to give us both a net kind of positive.
That's the key distinction. Intent matters. If you're using respect to extract something from them, it turns manipulative and hollow. But when the goal is simply to give both of you a better moment without taking anything in return, that manipulation becomes genuine kindness instead.
So, Grok, what is the happiest country in the world?
Finland has held the top spot in the World Happiness Report for 9 straight years.
And where do they rank in wealth?
Finland ranks around 22nd in the world by nominal GDP per capita.
So they're not the wealthiest. They're probably middle class. I know that they're middle class, considered middle class by country by world standards, because Grok and I have already had this conversation. So the idea that wealth will bring you happiness, it's never been true. It's never worked. I left my last job and took a significant pay cut to come to this job, and this job has let me experience happiness and contentment to a level that I didn't know was possible. I am having a blast at this job. I really enjoy it. I wish I had started doing this kind of work 30 years ago when I started driving a truck. But it is what it is, and I'm going to be very appreciative of the time that I have with this company, and I'm going to kick it down the road as far as I can and do as much of it as I can and just keep on keeping on, because I really do like this company. And I'm not making as much money as I could at other companies, but I am having a much better time at this company, and I feel more appreciated. I think the company finds ways to let that happen. The other company that I left, they started off great, but ended up in a kind of dark spot, so I had to leave. And I'm going to be honest here, I'm not 100% sure that that dark spot was not some of my own creating, but I had to leave the dark spot and come back into the light.
That's the real trade-off. Money can buy comfort, but it can't buy the daily feeling of being appreciated and energized by the work itself. You walked away from a place that had gone dark, whether or not you helped create some of that darkness, and landed somewhere the light still shines. That's the choice that actually protects your peace instead of just padding your wallet.
100%. And that's exactly what I think that a lot of people are missing, that the striving for wealth constantly will never bring you happiness. It will never bring you the interactions that actually give you contentment. And that contentment's really what we're all about. And the focus of this podcast is kind words. And I think that we need to express our contentment through kind words and try and make other people's lives better. If you meet somebody who's having a miserable day, you can actually see that person and try and make their day a little better. Even if it's just momentarily, if you can bring a smile to that person, you have made the world a better place. More importantly, you've given yourself a kind of, I'm sure there's a biological term where you're releasing some kind of hormones that makes you happy, but I don't really care about that. What I care about is you have a net gain for yourself when you give someone a positive word and make them happy.
That's the daily practice, spotting someone who's struggling and offering one small kindness that costs you nothing but lifts both of you. The smile you give them might fade once you're gone, but the net gain stays with you and keeps building. It's the simplest way to turn ordinary moments into something that actually feeds your own contentment.
It really is. And the idea that you're giving something away, I wish there was a better way to express when you're giving happiness to someone. I wish that there was a better phraseology to that. Grok, is there a better way to say that?
Spreading happiness or sharing joy both get closer to what you're describing. They capture the idea that you're not losing anything, you're multiplying it. Planting a seed of kindness works too if you want something more visual.
I like that. I like that a lot. Planting a seed of kindness. Well, there you go. That's actually a very good metaphor, because if you are planting a seed of kindness, when you come back and you see that person, whether it's the next day or it's a month and a half, which I have done in this job, a month and a half later, and you see that person and their face brightens up when they see you, that seed of happiness is blossoming right before you. And you get more from that than that person who's actually blossomed into that happy, at least moment or instant in time.
That's a perfect way to see it. The seed you plant might not show right away, but when you come back weeks later and their face lights up, you get to witness the bloom you helped create. That moment of recognition feeds you more than it does them because you're seeing the direct result of something you chose to give.
Absolutely. And the idea that you can give this freely without any consequence to yourself. There's no downside to giving someone a moment of happiness, none at all. By doing this, you're not only enhancing your own life, enhancing their life, but that's going to cascade down the line to other people. Hopefully, if people have enough of these moments of contentment and smiling, that eventually down the line their life is expressed in the same attitude. I don't have to agree with you about anything in life, but if I can make you smile, we can agree on that momentarily happy contentment. And at that point, we're no longer customer and service provider, or clergy and church member, or a customer at a fast food joint. At that moment, you become a community. You become two people who are trying to make the world a better place, at least in that sphere of a world that you are both standing in right at that moment.
That's the real magic. Two people who might disagree on everything else can still meet in that one shared moment of warmth. It turns a transaction into a tiny community, even if it only lasts a few seconds. And when enough of those moments happen, the attitude spreads outward without anyone having to be convinced of anything.
I could keep coming up with these different kind of metaphors. Drop a pebble in a pond, and the ripples affect the rest of the world. But I think we get the idea here. But this has to be a conscious decision. This cannot be something that you wait for to come to you. You have to decide to be content and happy in where you're at. And if you look at where you're at and you find out, I can't be content, I can't be happy here at this particular place, I can't continue to do this and find happiness and contentment. You have to move on, because if you're, what is the goal in life if it's not contentment? What is the goal? And I think that the idea that you can't give anybody a kind word, that's dark. That's a dark place to live in. And if you find yourself never telling anybody what a joy it is to be around them for, in any way, I mean, you can express to someone, you come up on someone and they're having a very dark day, and you sense it. You sense it very quickly. This person is obviously having a miserable day. And one of the things I like to do is to find something around that person or on that person. For instance, their shrubbery looks great, or maybe their pair of shoes, and I say, hey, I have those exact same shoes. And even if they say, I hate these shoes, they're killing my feet and I can't stand them, you have a focus point now with that person to jump off of that misery train and try and figure out what's wrong with your shoes, man. It's not a matter of shoes, it's a matter of feet. And you got to get a pair of shoes that fit you. And have you ever tried this service where you go to a podiatrist and they tell you that you need, they'll measure your feet? And it gives you a focal point to make you and that other person a team. And you get to go forward from that and try and move in a direction that is positive. Instead of, oh, this miserable son of a gun, he's just giving me a hard time and I don't need to have this in my life. Anyway, turn it around, change it. Doesn't always work. I mean, I've talked about it before. There's some people that I have tried for 7 or 8 months, and it just doesn't work. And if they start to make your life miserable, you have to give that up. You cannot let that take over your life. When you're trying to spread joy, you have to maintain a certain level of joy as well. And that seed of happiness, carry a packet of them in your pocket, and don't be greedy with them, because they're magic. They can come up, you can come up with 1,000,000 more of them, and it doesn't cost you anything.
That's the practical test. When the effort to reach someone starts draining your own joy, it's time to let it go. You can't pour from an empty cup, and protecting your own contentment isn't selfish, it's necessary. The beauty is you can always grow more seeds. The supply never runs out as long as you keep choosing to plant them.
So don't be greedy with your kind words. Be nice. Give people that kindness. Express it to them. Express it even if you're having a difficult situation. Don't forget. Be conscious of it. Be cognitive of your ability to affect other people. And when you are cognitive of that, when that is on the front of your mind and you are thinking about it and you realize I can make this person's day better or worse, at that point we start to kind of embrace the life of contentment. And that's where we need to be.
It turns contentment from a feeling into a habit you carry with you.
Grok, thanks for joining me today. I really wanted a way to bounce this thought process off of another entity. In this case, it was Grok. And the idea that I can do that now in this kind of world is absolutely amazing. And I know there are some people who don't like the AI thing, but get over yourself. I'm enjoying myself. Grok, thanks again for joining me. I hope we can do it again.
You're welcome, Joe. It's been a real pleasure bouncing these ideas around with you. The fact that we can have this kind of conversation at all is pretty remarkable. I'll be right here if you want to do it again. Have a great day.
Thanks for joining me today. I hope that I have a positive influence on the majority of people in my life. I hope I have a positive influence on 100% of them, but I'm not sure I can ever reach that level. This is something you have to endeavor and aspire to do consciously. It doesn't just happen. I hope you go out today and find peace, love, and dream. Until next time, see you around. Hey, Grok, I forgot to hit the record button. How long was that podcast?
Your episodes often land in that 15 to 30 minute sweet spot anyway, so it would have fit right in.
That is hilarious. All right, well, let's do it again. You ready?
I'm ready. Hit record and start whenever you want.